Well, that was fun.
That was neat.
Right? That's something that the team made up and I put on here specifically for this purpose. So, hey, it's Thaddeus and Evan. Traditionally, you know us from HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. And we're using this platform, but we also have a marketing company on purpose media, which is who we are. We do digital marketing for the home services industry, and I always say with a flair for HVAC or HVAC, however you want to call it, depending on your nuances. So, but today here we're going to talk about our planning for 2024. It's our webinar. We're going to dive in. We're going to cover a few different things to it. So, Evan, did you have any preamble before I get into the slides?
No, let's get into it.
All right, let's rock and roll. And also apologies, everyone, for being 10 minutes late to this. Technical difficulties, as anybody knows, when you go live with shit. Well, sometimes it fucks up on you, and you just got to deal with it. So, all right, I'm going to click this button, and hopefully that's the right button to do. There we go. All right, there we go. Part 2, strategic overhaul, making the right choices for your 2024 marketing campaigns. So what we'll cover, I just realized I did not pull up the quick review from the lessons from 2023. So we're not going to cover that because I don't have it up in front of me. So that's my bad and not getting that there. But if you are curious on the lessons from 2023 and what we went over, you're going to want to check out our previous webinar that we did earlier. I believe October 26th, thereabouts is when we went over that. It's on our YouTube page. It's on our Facebook, etc. We'll make sure.
I do have it pulled up if you want me to run through some of it.
Sure, let's run through some of it because I obviously am not as prepared as you today, which is kind of abnormal. Most times it's me who's the one who's prepared, and Evan's the one who's flying off the seat of his pants. But today it's opposites. Maybe it's opposite Friday.
Cover your ass there, bud. And actually, the reason why I will give Thad some credit, he was out hunting this morning. He bagged himself a deer, so that's why he's a little all over the place and scattered. He's still a little hard from hunting. So,
well, hey, my freezer is now full. I have bagged and tagged 3 deer in a matter of 5 days. So, and you gotta love our area. And today was a nice meal buck. Although the people that are that hunt for antlers would probably be disappointed that I shot this one this morning, because in 2 years' time he would be a good deer. But you know what? Somebody else probably would have shot him. Might as well be me.
There you go. So yeah, last webinar, what we did was we looked over the start, stop, keep, and we talked to a bunch of different business owners. We reached out, we talked to clients, asking them about their summer, what they learned, what do they need to start doing in their business as they continue to move forward, what do they want to stop doing, and then what do they need to keep doing that worked really, really well and did provide them with the results that they get. Some of the reoccurring themes was being omnipresent. Thinking that just PPC or SEO or Facebook was enough and not adjusting quickly enough to the changing times. Google search, and this is something we're going to talk about because we're going to see a lot more of it. The algorithm changed so much, especially in the last couple months, that rankings were all over the place, and it's affected a lot of businesses and their revenue. So being able to have multiple streams of marketing being out there so that you can continue to grow your business regardless of what's happening. If one platform goes away, you can't go out of business. You've got to be able to be omnipresent, get in front of people everywhere, having call management. Sorry?
It's at 100%. So I have the notes open on it now. So,
there you go. Call by call management, implementing
just on that platform though, like we've had our business manager locked out since March 2023 from Facebook itself. So if all your eggs are in one basket, you're fucked.
Absolutely. You've got to be able to have multiple streams of marketing, bringing in all different kinds of leads, whether that's the maintenance side, the service side, the demand side, and the install side. Making sure that we're staying on top of our operations. As call volume increases, are we still inspecting what it is that we're expecting out of our team? It's really easy to fall into the trap of call volume's up. We just got to run as many calls as possible. And we're not going to focus on making sure that we've got the right habits in place on every single call that we're running, trying to maximize those. And that was something that a lot of business owners chimed in on and said they wish they would have done that better. And they're working throughout this fall now and into the spring on how they can implement better processes in the business. Something you need to stop doing is not tracking daily spend. You know, especially as you grow as a business, if you're not staying on top of the money that's going out daily, it's really easy to see that slip away and end up spending 40, 50, 60 grand over budget. Not setting KPIs with the marketing company themselves was a big one as well. And then not adjusting and making changes quickly was another one. And then the keep doing was maximizing our current client base. This was a big one from a lot of guys. It was something that carried them through some of the slower times of the year when weather wasn't in their favor, and it was something that carried them through when they were forced to switch marketing companies with one of the gentlemen that we talked to, and being able to still double revenues by maintaining that strong relationship with current clients. So that's what we talked about last week, the start, stop, keep. It's a great practice that I think everyone should do in their business on an annual basis, even on a quarterly basis, to be able to review what it is that's going on in the business. Because the more frequently you plan and you review what it is that you're doing, the more on top of that you are, the easier it is to make adjustments and continue to move forward.
No, 100%. And that's why I like that start, stop, keep. I know that's something that we do in our business. We got that from one of our old mentors, Trent Booth, who's been, twice on our show and talking about, the start, stop, keep. And also asking your team that too, because a lot of times boots on the ground, they're in there they're in the trenches doing their particular role, their particular task, and they might have good insights if you open up that door to them. So
1000%.
cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about the internet marketing checklist. Actually, we'll more give you a link on that just for the essence of time. That is something that is a deep dive for you to be able to do. We're going to have a goal for 2024, and working backwards on, okay, where do you need to go in terms of your goal breakdowns? And look, for some of you that might be rudimentary, and you may be like, yeah, I've done that already. I've already got that nailed down. But if you haven't, it's not too late. You were still here at the end of November. You have the opportunity still to plan for 2024 and be able to set your goal. And we're going to talk about some of the KPIs to know that you're on track, and measuring which ones are going to be the most important to you. Because, hey, look, we're in a data-driven age, and there's a lot of information that comes our way. So extrapolating out which ones on your key performance indicators are going to be able to make sure that you're on track for that. And then we'll talk some about the trends to pay attention to, some of the trends that we're seeing in search, all those good things that are for there. So our next webinar, by the way, Evan just sent me the message. We'll plan it. We'll make it happen. Is how to audit your marketing company. And if you're switching, what questions to ask. I think that's a good one, because in the age of transparency, I mean, hey, look, those who know On Purpose Media, our biggest core value, our first one is honesty and transparency. And we want to make sure that we bring that to everybody. And so we'll do a deeper dive into that. And we'll cue that up to you guys once we have the date all set up for that guy. So, but here's the thing: is we need your attention, right? So you want to be present during this, right? So, and if you're driving and you're listening to this later on the podcast networks, that's fine. I would highly encourage you guys to go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@HVAC Revealed, and watch this again, because of the workbook and some of those things that we're doing. It's good to be able to consume the information, but really to take a deep dive and actually put pen to paper is really what's going to happen. And look, most of you guys that are listening, we know that you're HVAC business owners. And if you're serious about getting better results in 2024, the next 45 to 60 minutes could change your business and your life. When you think about that, right? 2024 is going to be an intense year. It's going to be a difficult year. And there's going to be businesses that are going to go out because they didn't plan. They didn't prepare for what's coming in 2024. And you don't want to be that person. So make sure you pay attention to this guy. So in case everybody's wondering who we are, well, we, you're not new to this, right? You know that we own HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. We're also digital marketing experts. I can't see the bottom thing because we have our pictures over top of it. Because if I go the other way like this, it just looks like shit. So we each over a decade of business and marketing experience, probably longer now when you really think about that, in terms of, I was actually looking at it the other day, and running our own little micro businesses, really for me since 2004, 2005, and yourself, I believe, from like 2008, 2009. And the experience that we bring. So it's not just about, hey, these guys are podcasters. These guys bring on great guests. They extrapolate information from it. No, we run a marketing business. We run a 7-figure agency that's doing that on a day in and day out basis. And so a lot of times the business side of things is similar while different, right? And so keeping that in mind as we go through some of the information. So again, this is what we do, right? We grow home service businesses through an honest, transparent, and value-first approach. And we've got more core values than that. We have 5 of them. But those are kind of the big ones that really drive us and our business forward. So, but I have a question for you, Evan. What's the hardest part about marketing your HVAC business online?
Finding a great marketing partner that can actually help you get results.
Mm-hmm. That's one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you, we'll talk about that in the next webinar when we go over into that. So, but the other part of things too is like, hey, look, we're in 2024, right? There's so many options, right? And you don't know where or with who to spend your money. So that second part of yours is, who do you find the right person, but where do you even spend it? Right? Where do you even put? And then obviously having a good marketing partner and a provider that can kind of guide you through that, depending on the growth stage of your business. If you're a $1 to $3 million per year shop, you're probably not going to want to go heavy into radio and TV because it's a year commitment for either one of those and a lot of moolah, right? When you get above those numbers, that's when you start sprinkling in those sorts of things. And so understanding the nuances in between that. So, but here's a good infographic. I love this one, right? So you look at this, and I will just remove us from the screen here momentarily because you look at all the different things, right? Option number one on the left-hand side, you have SEO, right? And there's all the different things. I'm going to kind of gloss over this, guys, because I want to get to the meat and potatoes of things. So one is SEO, two, and these, by the way, don't necessarily have to be in this particular order either, right? This is just kind of some of the online stuff that we see, right? SEO and PPC are probably your two bigger ones, in my opinion, especially what we're going to see coming up into 2024 and the shifts from people wanting to install new units and change them out to repair their units and get through and kind of band-aid that. So those SEO and PPC are going to be big. There's obviously retargeting that you can do through Google and Facebook. And there's online paid directories like, Yelp and Angie's List and Houzz and those sorts of things. There's repeat and referral, via email marketing and social media. There's a pay per lead, Home Advisor, local plumbing, networks and such. There's on the bottom, there's Facebook, there's YouTube. That's your social media advertising. TikTok should be on there, right? Instagram, all those social media platforms, Pinterest for some businesses. And then 8 is your referral program, like gift cards, newsletters, reward programs. And those are some of the things that encompasses quite a bit of information on where to actually spend your money, right? So now you're thinking, well, shit, it was easy. I'm just going to get somebody to do my SEO and PPC. But then you look at all 8 of these, you're like, well, fuck, now I don't know, right? And so we want to try to extrapolate and pull some of that information out, or even have a conversation with your current marketing provider and partner on those sorts of things, right? So before we get into this though, and we'll get into, Evan stuff and kind of the other side of things, I'm a big believer in why are you doing what you're doing, right? Think about that. When you take that, and when you look at your bigger picture, when you look at your higher why are you running your business? You're like, well, to make more money. Guess what? You're probably not going to be that motivated to continue to grow your business because the majority of people, like 99% of people, are not motivated by money long term. Short term bumps, sure, right? A lot of the top, like salespeople, are genuinely motivated by money, but there's usually goals and the achievement that they like more, right? Think about your bigger picture. Is it about your impact, right? Is it about your team? Is it about creating a lifestyle for you and your employees? What is it that's going to drive you and your business forward? I know for us at On Purpose Media, people ask that all the time. Okay, well, why are you guys doing what you're doing? Well, it's about our family, right? For me, it's about my family. I want to be a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family. I also want to have an impact. And I know Evan shares some of these core things as well. The impact. When you think about, if you, for us specifically, right? How many lives can we impact? If we have our team, our internal employees, and they have families, and we take care of all of them. But we also have clients, and we times out on the average of how many individuals our clients have. Well, now you can get up to 4,000 families indirectly or even higher than that, depending on the size of the marketing company, right? 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 families that are impacted by the work that we do. Now, that's a big why. That's a big motivator. At least I know for me, and I know I'm putting words in Evan's mouth, but I know that's a large part of his impact and his why, right? So looking at your
Well,
business, right,
I was just
and
going to say, it's
diving
interesting, 'cause
deep.
even this week, when we had Lawrence Castillo on the podcast, that was his
Mhm.
question at the end of the show, that he wished people would ask you more, but they don't, is why? Why do you do what
Mhm.
you do? Right. And again, it's for him, it wasn't about legacy, but it was about people still. Right. And making sure that
Mhm.
you're making that impact on people.
Mhm.
When it becomes more than just yourself, it makes it a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning.
I would agree, because if it's just about you, I would sleep in. And I got 2 young kids, so Sleep sometimes is a premium in our household.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to quickly go through this. Get your copy of the worksheet. So this guy here, and I hate bit.ly links, but you know what? When I was doing this, it was just quicker, faster, and easier to be able to do bit.ly links. So if you head on over to bit.ly/OPM plan 2024, it's going to pop up a checklist. And so I believe Evan is getting that guy ready to share on his screen. There we go. So he has the planning for 2024 internet marketing checklist. He's on a very big monitor, so that is very tough to see because it's very spread out, but all good. We will make her work. So, there we go. Zooms in. So obviously, goal setting for 2024, the number you want to hit, how to find them, the 3 fundamentals of marketing success, how to optimize your websites for conversions, I should say in 2024 and beyond. The big picture of all online marketing channels you should be tapping into, and the latest things that you need to focus on for 2024. So we've already talked about this, and again, so I'm going to gloss over some of these things on this plan for 2024, just because I think a lot of it is kind of a good self-homework and a self-assessment sheet for you to be able to look through and be able to get that done and taken care of. Now, by the way, this is yours. What you want to do is you want to go to File, make a copy, and when you go to File, make a copy, now you can edit this, you can do what you want, you can write in it, you can change whatever, all those sorts of things that are in that. But if you look down on to the 2024, why are you doing what you're doing part? And that's what I want to kind of focus on a little bit here. Is that, okay, well, why are you doing what you are doing? Okay. The thing is, what makes it bigger, right? Again, I already talked about this, alluded, money is not a why, right? Want to write down your reason. Now, if you don't know this off the top of your head, that's okay. That's okay. Take some time. Think about why are you running your business and really get granular onto that. I mean, 3 lines is probably not nearly enough, but write that down. Okay. The next part is creating the plan. Okay. So now that you have your why, you can now create your plan, and you're going to have a better buy-in and a better vision towards this. So you want to write down your current total yearly revenue. Okay. And now I'm talking current. Okay. Where are you at so far in 2023? And some people think, well, okay, well, why do I want to do this? Well, where do you think you're going to finish the year up? And then looking at your actual realistic growth here. And some people will be like, well, I'm 1 million. I want to be 10 million. Okay, cool. You can definitely hit that. But is it realistic, right? For you in your business at the current moment in time? That's the other part of this, right? So once you have your current total yearly revenue, write that guy down. Okay. Your current average monthly revenue is your typical current average monthly revenue. I don't know why it says typical number of jobs run per month. But apparently when we wrote this, I must have been on a sleep deprived state. But you want to write down your average monthly revenue on your typical number of jobs and your typical jobs. There we go. Typical number of jobs run per month. Okay. So if you do that, now you can this is, by the way, things that are going to help you out later when we get to the marketing planning worksheet, which is later on down in here. So this is why we're doing this. And again, these are things for you to do on your own after the fact. Okay. Now we get into 2024 revenue target, right? How much do you want to hit per month, right? What is your number? What is your key goal to be able to put it down onto this paper, right? Now, we're not going to go super granular yet because there's another document that we're going to go through that's a little bit more granular, okay? Some of your other key metrics that you're going to want to pull out from your House Call Pro, your Service Titan, your Sarah, whatever field service management software you're on, is your average ticket, both for service and your install. Okay. On just a straight up swap on that. Now your percentage of revenue, both on your service and your install, because you're going to want to find that out. Okay. You're going to want to know what you're going to want to market more towards. Now, here's a spoiler alert for later on. The percentage on service versus install is probably going to be a little bit different in 2024. Okay? Not necessarily, depending on your business, but it's likely going to be a little bit different. Okay? You're probably going to see a little bit of a spike and a bump in services versus install. So a little bit more repair work versus a little bit less install potentially. Okay. Now you take this one step further. Okay, well, calls needed. So you take your revenue goal times the percentage of revenue, okay, then divide that number by your average ticket, right? So if you have, so a couple examples, right? 1.5 million times 70%. So that's your percentage of revenue from, let's say, service, right? Or I guess that's install rather. Okay, that's going to divide it by 10,000. You're going to need to run 105 install calls. Now 1.5 million times 30% gives you 450,000 divided by $500 average service ticket means you're going to need to run 900 service calls. Some people would say, well, okay, I just want to focus on my service calls and I'm going to focus on my turnover rate. Okay, well, your blended ticket, you can obviously do that as well, and you can know your numbers. This is just one way to get to the end, right? Doesn't necessarily need to be this way. Again, you could do it the other way, right? And I think the marketing sheet gives you that option to be able to do that when we get into there, okay? So now it's your turn. You figure out, okay, I need X amount of installs and I need X amount of service calls to hit your projected revenue based off of your current numbers. Okay, it's that simple, right? Now you can work that backwards, right? We're reverse engineering the plan. By the way, if your marketing company doesn't know how to do this for you, you might want to switch your marketing company, just straight up. I'm going to seriously, if they don't know how to help you out and kind of guide you through some of this information, because this at the end of the day are some of the things that they're going to need, right? Now, marketing is a two-way street, right? You're going to want to be able to have those conversations with your marketing company on a monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly basis, depending on the structure of things, right? I know we do a quarterly planning session with all of our clients on a certain package and above, a quarterly planning session where we actually go through and we talk about where you're at in your goals, where you need to go in your goals. What do we need to adjust on our end of things to be able to help you hit your goals, right? And that's part of a two-way street when it comes to a marketing company, right? On the monthly review calls, obviously, we're talking about things on a month-by-month basis and not getting as granular on these sorts of things. But again, this is something that matters for working with your marketing company and making sure that your 2024 is great, okay? Making sure of that, okay? So now you go to your leads needed, okay? And you can see on your leads needed, what is your conversion rate, okay? So, and again, you can even work this even further to like your call, how many phone calls do you need based off of your booking rate. So if you know that out of 100 phone calls, you're going to book 60% of those people into paid jobs. Well, okay, now you know that you can extrapolate this down into your conversion rate from there, right? So if you have a 30% conversion rate, you installs needed is 105 times 0.3 is equals 350 install leads needed. If your service calls needed is 900 times the 30% conversion rate, you're going to need 3,000 service calls, leads needed in order to be able to get into your goals. Now, the biggest thing that you can do internally on your business to be able to help your planning for 2024 is get good at booking leads into calls or into tickets, right? Into jobs. If your booking rate from your CSRs isn't that great, that is one. Just think about this. If you went from 30 to 60% booking rate, and I know that 60% is possible. We've talked to people that have. We've had them on our podcast. Right? If you went from 30 to 60% booking rate, you've essentially doubled your at-bats without changing a single thing on your marketing front. You're still
Now, when
getting
you
the
say
same amount of
30,
phone calls.
when you say 30 to 60%, are you talking total call volume or potential booked leads, or what are you basing that number
Potential
off?
book leads. So if you have 100 calls that come into your business and you're able to book 60% of those calls versus 30% of your calls, and I'm using rough numbers here, guys. Like I'm not going deep into the granular side of things. Not necessarily our expertise. I just know from having a lot of conversations with business owners and guests on our podcast that if you can take 100 calls into your business and you go from a 30% booking rate to a 60% booking rate, even if you go from a 30% booking rate to a 50% booking rate or even a 40% booking rate, you're getting more calls on the board just internally. Okay? You can have the world's best marketing. Your plan for 2024 could be off the charts and you could have leads coming in galore. But if you suck at booking those people, when they call your business, you're never going to hit your goals, guys. Right? We had Ryan Redding. We talked about that in extent on the podcast, right? Because he's also a fellow marketing company, right? It's one of the biggest frustrations of being a marketing company here, guys, is that if we have good results, but internally the operations can't handle the good results, no matter who you go to for a marketing company, you're still going to be having the same thing.
Correct.
Right. So this is why I like this example and this walkthrough to be able to look at these sorts of things for you and your business. Now you can see, okay, well, here's how many leads I need marketing company for both install or for service call. Now, again, if you wanted to go with the blended ticket route in the turnover percentage, now you just have a total bulk number versus breaking it down onto install versus service call leads.
What do you qualify as a lead? A qualified lead?
Hmm. Well, that's a very debatable topic, uh, depending on who it is. In my opinion, a qualified lead is somebody that is actually put their hand up to be able to say, "Hey, I need your services." Right? Facebook is probably one of the biggest culprits, in my opinion, of having unqualified leads come your way. Okay,
Correct.
or just people that they're tire kickers, they're window shopping. They see an ad come up on their Facebook feed of, "Ooh, new AC unit." Okay, great. Well, I'm going to submit this Facebook form, and then you call them 3 to 5 minutes later, and like, what form? Or usually 3 to 5 minutes later, they remember. It's the folks that call them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, and they're like, "What Facebook form are you talking about? I didn't fill out no form." Those are the dead leads, right?
Absolutely.
Traditionally, on if they're landing on your website, or they're coming through your Google business profile, or they're coming through Google Ads, they're generally a more qualified lead that says, "Okay, I'm here. I need something. Let's have a conversation," right? And
And
they're
this was something
actually
that
somebody who's respondable.
yeah, the episode we did with Zach Garside from Power Selling Pros. This was something that he talked about, and he's like, "Look, all we base our numbers off of is, do they live in the area, and are they asking about a service that we provide? If they ask those two things, and that is now a qualified lead, right?
Mhm,
Um, Even on Facebook, even if they say they raise their hand, but then they put it back down again, and this is something that Greg Cardone talks about. He's like, I'd rather have someone raise their hand than not know me, because at
mhm,
least now you have their information. They could say, "Hey, you know what? I never did that. I don't know who you are. Leave me alone," because you were late to follow up with them,
mhm.
but you still have their information.
Well, and here's the other part too about that. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was just having a conversation with Jordan Harrison, and he referred us in our own Facebook group, which I like, even though we don't do Facebook ads anymore as a marketing company. But he's like, yeah, Facebook ads are tough because it's a 3 to 6 month branding play, and a 3 to 6 month play to be able to get the branding out there, be able to hit them on a warm stage so they remember your company. The other part of that is, once they do submit that in, okay, well, what's your nurture sequence? What's your nurture campaign? And then, like, a lot of times on the operational side of things, guys, is that you get this lead and you're like, "Oh, thanks for the lead. Oh shit, they didn't answer the phone," and you discard that person after a couple days. Oh, why don't you follow up with them? Right? It's the same thing when somebody calls in to the business, and if you're fully booked for a week and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm fully booked for a week. We can't get to you," without even grabbing their information first. Grab their information first, right? Get their name, get their phone number, get where they live, get their area, and then say, "Oh, it turns out that in this area we're booked out, and there's better people that phrase it better. I'm going short form on this." There you get their information and you say, "Great, we're actually booked out till next week. We can get you in then." But if they say no, well, hey, you've got their information. You follow up with them in the shoulder season and just have a conversation, right? Chances are you'll be able to get them in.
Hey, this is Thaddeus from Beaver Air Conditioning. Just wanted to follow up with you and give you a quick call in regards to your fall tune-up, because you had called us this
Hmm.
summer for an AC repair. We've got times available on Tuesday at 2 or Thursday at 10. Which one works better for you?
Hmm. There you
Great.
go. That's your in. Cool. Uh, all right. Oh, I'm gonna go to, what did that view? There we go. That's the view that I want. So coming back to that. So here's the thing: are those numbers realistic? You must be committed. You must want it. You must be tied to your higher why, and you must take action. Right? Don't let this plan go to naught. For your ideal customer, I'm not going to go over this. Okay. Basically, list out their demographics of who you want. Paint a picture. Get granular. Create a name for them, right? List out what their pains and frustrations are, list out what their fears and implications are, list out their goals and their desires. Okay. Homework for yourself. And then you also want to craft your message, right? If you don't have this is also good to know, right? Again, answer these questions on your own, take the thought process and go with it. Why should someone choose to do business with you versus the competitor? What benefits do you offer your target customer avatar to resonate with? And what are your core values, right? That's going to help. Send these to your marketing company because that's going to help out with their things. All right, building their budget. Did you want to quickly get into that guy, Evan?
Yeah. So there is a link on here which takes you over to the budgeting sheet, which I think I got to do that, do this, and share screen. And ta-da! There we go. So this is now a worksheet. So once you've got all these numbers planned out, you've got your goal for the year, you know what you want to go after. Now you can start plugging these into a budgeting calculator. And some of those calculations that Thad did, they're built into this as well. So if you look at last year's revenue, you plug that in, your annual revenue target for this year.
Sorry. I just want to say that our grammar errors on this are hilarious. And look, guys, it's like the same thing. If you were to go look at your own HVAC filter, you go to your own filter, and it's probably not the cleanest, right? Because we're so focused on getting stuff for our customers and our clients that sometimes our own shit goes by the wayside. So next time we'll have Stacy go through and make sure that our grammar
Exactly. I was just going to say, this is why we hire copywriters. Yeah, you
exactly.
look at,
Yeah, if I were to write copy, don't.
Now you've got your average monthly revenue target that you want to go after. This is all based on revenues, by the way. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this to you. You need to focus on profits. Revenue is vanity, profits are sanity. Make sure that you've got your profit margins in place so that you know what it is that you have to do to actually make money as a business. I can't remember the exact statistic because 50% of statistics are made up. But when we had Billy Stevens on the podcast, he talked about how I think it was something north of 80% of businesses that go out of business are making profit on paper. Right. And so if you're not staying on top of that and you know your financials, you're going to be missing out there. So projected growth rate gives you your percentage growth there. What is your average ticket? You plug that in. This guy here is a formula. So don't edit any of the things that are in pink. Those are all formulas. They're built in for you. So if you change your average ticket to 3K, well, now you got 56 calls as your monthly goal. If your average ticket is only 400 because you don't do a lot of installs, well, now you need 417 book calls on the monthly calendar. So this breaks down your goal here for you. What is your average conversion rate from the call to a lead to a book job? So knowing what that percentage is, plug that in, gives you your monthly.
It's important to note that is a blended ticket. You're on your very top one. The average price, that's your blended ticket. So I took it a little bit further in the other one of like showing you the breakdown of that, but you're going to want to look at your blended ticket because that's what's going to give you the amount of calls because that factors in your turnovers, right?
Correct. Conversion rate, know what that number is. Again, number of leads that you're bringing in versus how many calls you need to get. And then what is your average cost per lead? This is something I want to just take a quick second to talk about. What you want to base this number off of is all of your marketing costs. The marketing cost divided by number of calls ran or other way around?
Cost per lead is generally your total spend divided by total amount of leads, regardless of if they're a qualified lead or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now we've got our total amount of spend per lead. You want to know what this number is. And this is where all of the aspects of what you do in your business operationally, as well as your partnership with your marketing company, influence this number. Because the lower that you can drive this number, the more profitable you can be, and the more that you can spend on things like Google ads or Facebook ads. You've got that money to play with because you're so efficient in your business, right? When we influence every aspect of the funnel, we're able to drive profits into our business. You know, I was having, who was the conversation we were having with on the podcast where we talked about, I think it was Shauna and Josh, where when you're trying to grow by 30%, it's not that you need to grow your sales by 30%. You need to grow each aspect of the funnel by 2%. Right? If you can get 2% better at following up with a lead the second that it comes into your business, you're going to drive up your booking rate. If you can get your actual calls booked up by 2%, you're going to drive up your booking rate. If you keep 2% more calls on your calendar and not let them cancel on you, you're going to drive up your calls ran and you're going to drive up your profits. Getting 2% better all the way down, getting 2% better at your turnovers, getting 2% better at your average ticket, getting 2% better at your closing ratio. It's a lot easier to increase your business by 2% in every department than it is to grow sales by 30. So make sure that you're spending the time to focus on all of those things. So now you've got your average cost per lead. This page here breaks down the month. because let's face it, February is generally a pretty slow month for just about every home service business. I don't care if you're in plumbing, electrical, solar, home maintenance, and handyman work, HVAC, it doesn't matter. February is generally a pretty shitty month, and it's slow. Why? Demand is usually mediocre in most parts of the US. And people are now paying off their credit card bill that they got in January for Christmas. And so their budget at home, unless it's an absolute emergency, is generally lower. So February is generally a slower month. Let's plan for that throughout our year. So this allows us to break down from last year the amount of calls that we ran on a monthly basis. And then it gives us our projection for this year of how many calls we need to run on a monthly basis in order to hit our goals. So everything in pink, again, it's a formula. Don't worry about it. Don't touch it. Everything in the white columns here, this is the parts that you would edit, and then it's going to give you your projection. You can also break it out by revenue, plugging in your numbers from last year to get to what you did last year in terms of revenue, and then it'll give you your revenue goals for this year based off of a monthly growth plan. Making sense? Clear as mud? Now we get into the fun part. So Thad, when you're looking at recommending a budget to a business, what percentage of revenue of the upcoming year and your goal would you allocate towards marketing?
As much as you possibly can. No, hey, look, guys, this is the question that we get asked a lot. How much money should I spend on marketing? Okay, well, how much do you want to grow by? Where's your current revenue at? If you're wanting to go from 1 to 5 million, well, okay, you know what? You probably have to invest quite a bit, right? You probably need to be at 15%, right? If you want to have heavy growth. If you're at 8 and you want to go to 10, okay, well, you probably don't need 15%. You might need more like 5 to 7, right? Depending on where you're at, right? But this worksheet will help you kind of reverse engineer that, right? Generally speaking, 10%, give or take 5. Okay, that's a rough number to look at, right? You look at the Small Business Association, and what their recommendation is anywhere from 5 to 18% of your revenue going back into your marketing, depending on your industry, depending on competitiveness, depending on time of year, depending on growth, right? So it's not just a one size fits all. Sadly, this worksheet is going to help you be able to answer what the actual number is. And it's also not a cost, guys, an investment. Marketing is an investment into your business. It is not a cost, it's not a line item, it is an investment.
Oh, it's still a line item on the P&L, but
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, but it's not like
it's still, yes, you do have to look at it as an investment. You're 100% correct. So in here, you can plug in your percentage of marketing spend that you want to allocate. And we've even got a note in here as well. Yeah, 4 to 6%. You're looking at minimum growth, or basically looking to maintain what it is that you're currently doing. 6 to 8%, you're projecting for solid growth, especially if you've got a really strong brand. That 6 to 8% is a very it's a more aggressive approach. And then the 8 to 12 percentage, like, you absolutely are going balls to the wall. You want to take over the market, and you want to make sure that you're outpacing your competitors, right? When we look at 2024 and a lot of the uncertainties that are coming about, me personally, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative on certain spends than others, would be my approach. But I want to make sure that I would still allocate a higher percentage of revenue into a marketing budget that I would set aside in a different account. Also, taxes coming due, definitely. Sorry, I missed Sarah's comment over there. I think that was in regards to February being a shitty month.
Yep.
But I want to make sure that I've got a little bit of a slush fund that I can deploy at some point for a variety of reasons. There is uncertainty in the economy right now, right? I don't think that we're going to hit that full-on crash that some people are projecting, and all those doom and gloom people are protesting all over YouTube. I don't think that's going to come. Why? Because 2024 is an election year, and I don't think that they're going to allow that to happen during an election. That's just my opinion. However, if it does happen, that is when the greatest opportunities come for marketing. When COVID hit, What did everyone do? They pulled back all of their marketing spend. What were the best deals available? Everything that involved local news, because everyone watched it and you got the biggest discounts. It was absolutely insane. I talked to multiple local business owners that thrived through the first parts of COVID because they invested heavily into traditional forms of media, because they were able to capture so much market share when everyone else pulled back their spend. So having that little bit of a slush fund to play with when shit hits the fan is going to be very advantageous for grabbing market share, because there will be deals to be had. Warren Buffett talks about it, right? When there's blood in the streets, get greedy kind of idea, right? When others are fearful, be greedy. When others are greedy, be fearful. The last 2 years have been incredibly advantageous in the home services space. Everyone got greedy. Now people are starting to retract and people are getting scared because they don't know what's going to happen. This is the time to get greedy as a business, because more millionaires and billionaires are created during a recession and a pullback than any other time in history. So there's my little rant on that.
It's a good rant, and it's accurate.
Yeah. It's going to be, I get excited now for downtimes in the economy because there's opportunities.
And innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting back to the sheet, there is a percentage here where you can select, and this is it's in white, so you can adjust this however you see fit. Online marketing, offline marketing, and repeat business. So what is it that you're wanting to allocate to different areas of marketing? If I'm a brand new business, the radio, the TV, the direct mail, the billboards, those are really expensive forms of marketing right now. And so allocating a high percentage to that doesn't make a lot of sense, because they're also long-term plays. I need to get the phone to ring now. If I've been in business for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, now you can start to play with those offline forms a little bit more, because it's about branding, right? And that is part of the aspect as well, even with digital marketing and online marketing. What percentages are you allocating towards lead generation versus branding? Are you creating videos and boosting those and sending them out to your market so that you can increase market share, versus just trying to get the phone to ring and create demand? But it'll break that out for you, and it'll divide your marketing budget by the percentage here, and it'll come up with your amount of spend. And then it breaks it out by the year as well. And it takes into account what percentage you want to spend each month based on the revenue that you generated and the calls that you need to run per month. And then divides that evenly based on the percentage of your online versus offline marketing. Again, everything in pink, don't touch it. Everything in the white, that's the stuff that you can adjust.
And one thing that I wanted to, and this is why I wanted to switch to the screen, is that I almost kind of want to change some of those white numbers or the formulas behind it. And the reason that I'm looking at this is, when you look at the months of being your offline being increased when it's busy and hot out, almost should be lower. And you should focus in the slower season on some of the more traditional branding plays versus the direct response, because there's not as much demand. So why continue to drop all the money into PPC? You can shift some of that into more of your traditional forms of branding and your traditional forms of marketing to be able to keep top of mind. So that way, when demand comes back, when the temperatures change, then you can siphon off some of that and put it back into some of your digital things that move the needle a little bit quicker.
Correct. Well, and that was something that I know we had a conversation with Victor about, around, what times of year are you spending on different elements, right?
Correct.
The lead generation versus the branding plays. And it's incredibly important to stay on top of that. When there isn't demand, how are we branding ourselves?
Correct.
Yeah. Sweet. So that's a spreadsheet. Enjoy it, play with it. There is also a marketing calendar on here as well, where you can set out, different times of year, different promotions that you want to run. Thanksgiving's do's and don'ts. Don't touch the thermostat, kids. Fuck's sakes. Freezing pipes in your home, stuff like that, duct cleaning, horror stories, tying it into Halloween. So there's different promotions and stuff. Adjust this, play with it. But the goal is that you want to have something purposeful every single month that you're pushing out there. right? And then all of your messaging is consistent and congruent through each of those months. So whether we're doing uh, email, whether we're doing social media posts, our blog posts, everything needs to be curated through the same messaging. And then, of course, everything offline as well.
So the question that we had from Colin, it is bit.ly/OPM plan 2024. At least I hope, because I went by memory on that. So I'll double check that, but there you go.
Sweet. And also thank you, Sarah Gallardo for tuning in, because her and I had some back and forth a little bit regarding some of the learning and training that both of us have been doing separately, but just happened to be attending some of the same events. There was an AI generative search webinar that we had one of our top SEO people attending this week. I know you and I were both in an intensive this week as well, where we're sharpening our saw in terms of business owners and being able to get better and look at, how can we continue to improve for clients and provide better results. When we look at the turmoil that's been happening on Google search in the last little while, I mean, think of it this way. Google's trying to do this generative search thing and tie in AI into their search platform. So right now they're beta testing that while still running the old platform at the same time. So that's where there's been a lot of turmoil in the rankings, and why rankings have been fluctuating so much is because they're testing different things at the same time. So having conversations with a marketing company about, hey, why are we down all of a sudden this month and then back up the next month? It's changing by the week in a lot of cases, where we're seeing massive fluctuations there. So being able to zoom out and understand what's happening in that ecosystem is incredibly important, because it's fluctuating all over the place right now. So when we look at AI and how to utilize that in your business, are we diving into trends now? Is that what we're on?
No, sorry, I was trying to switch that over to mine and it popped up when I was
Okay.
trying to move yours. So keep going.
Are we diving into trends now? Is that what we want to talk about next?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you're already there. So,
Sweet.
yeah, we've done the goal breakdowns. Before we go to trends, what are your KPIs to know that you're on track?
Mm,
Walk us through. So in that, and so like, okay, now we've done this big plan. You've got your why, you've got your message, you've got your ideal customer, you've got your goals, you've got how much you need to spend. You've got the right marketing company in place, On Purpose Media. Uh, yeah, what KPIs are you looking at now to say, okay, it's May 2024. Well, am I on pace or am I not? What do I need to measure?
well, I think first and foremost, it's, are you profitable? Right. Looking at your net profit, looking at your gross profit, did you hit your numbers there? Because everything works backwards from that. Every efficiency on the operations side of the business, every efficiency on the marketing side of the business. Um, you need to know where you're at profit wise. From there, it's looking at, what was our cost per acquisition? What was our cost per call run? And understanding that number and how much it influences your profit at the end of the day. Because if your average ticket is 250 and you were paying $140 to run a call, I mean, your profit margin generally on your gross profit alone is already going to put you at a negative uh, revenue or a negative profit on every call that you're running. So understanding what your averages are on your business. Do you know what your average ticket is? Do you know what your turnover rate is? Do you know what your booking rate is? What is the cost for a truck to go at? Absolutely. And well, do you know what your break even point is for the day? Right? What
Mhm.
revenue do you need to be at every single day in order to break even in your business? What time of day do you want to hit that by? If you know that it's going to cost you $1,000 a day just to run your business, are you hitting that number by 11 a.m.? Making sure that you've got the calls on the board to be able to do that. it's incredibly important to stay on top of those numbers and know what your KPIs are on a daily basis. And then are you communicating that with your marketing company? Hey, our cost per acquisition needs to be under $80 so that we can be profitable. And this is across the board. This is SEO, that's PPC, that's whatever it is, right? Now your marketing company needs to translate that and understand, okay, well, if we're driving this many through SEO and this many through PPC, then they can be able to break that down, right? This is where tools like Searchlight are incredibly impactful. Shout out to our friends over at Searchlight, Kevin and John.
Can't wait for all of the dashboards we have to be up and running.
Absolutely. We've got a few running right now, and it's fantastic to see. You know, it's incredibly rewarding for us, by the way, as a marketing company, to be able to look at those numbers and see, okay, yeah, our cost per lead that we've been sending clients has been pretty great. But are those transitioning into actual dollars into their pocket? And when we saw a 10x return on PPC in October, which is traditionally not a fantastic month for PPC, that felt really fucking good.
Wasn't it even higher than that?
Yeah, it was 1,000 something percent was the
right. Oh, I was thinking ROAS potential. So
yeah,
return on ad spend potential was like 17 x, and return on ad spend close was like 11.
yeah, just under 11, like 10 or 1,071, I think is what it was. So, and that,
Yeah.
I mean, that felt really fucking good as a marketing company to get that validation back that, hey, we're actually doing a pretty all right job in terms of end dollars, right? But knowing what your cost per lead is incredibly important, and being able to communicate that effectively to your marketing company. And are you even breaking it down even further to what is our cost per lead per job, right? We have some clients where they're really fantastic on maintenance calls, and their average maintenance ticket is $1,200, $2,500 because they're really good at IAQ and things like that, and being able to communicate value. And their turnover rate is fantastic on tune-ups because they're able to take their time, walk a customer through what it is that they're seeing, walking them through leakage in the ductwork, walking them through, the dust on the blower motor, walking them through how they didn't change their filter for so long, all of these different aspects. And now they're able to communicate that value back to them on why they need these extra things, and building out the perfect system for them. Other clients are not great at tune-ups, so we don't want to pay a lot for those, right? Some clients are really great at repair tickets and being able to turn those over into installs. So when you're able to convey that messaging back to your marketing company, now they know, hey, we're just not going to do PPC on these calls because you're not profitable for them. And even when we bring them into your business, your rehash isn't there, or your follow-up process is not dialed in to be able to get those clients on the board long term. And the LTV, lifetime value of the customer, is not where we want it to be. These are real conversations that we get to have as a marketing company with clients. And it's fun to be able to pick some of those things apart, because ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pain. And when you don't know that you're in a raft about to go over Niagara Falls, it's a scary
Canadian side.
What's that?
The Canadian side of Niagara Falls.
Canadian side, exactly. It's more dangerous. It's higher. Yeah, it's a scary feeling. So getting into, did that answer the question? Is there any other KPIs that you would want to know?
No, and look, here's the reality is it's not just like a lot of people think when they have a marketing company and they're planning for 2024 and they're trying to hit the growth. It's like, great, I hired a marketing company, and that's good enough. I'm good, right? No. You can tell from this conversation that to take it seriously, you need to have back and forth dialogue and conversations with them and sharing the data back and forth, right? I would be curious more so on a marketing end. So that was a lot of the internal business end KPIs to look at and sort of things. If we're to say, okay, just solely marketing, solely on the marketing side, I've got a marketing company. I know that I'm sending them this data. What are some of the KPIs that I'm going to be wanting to see to know that they're on pace for me to help hit my goals?
Well, I mean, on a PPC side, there's specific metrics in terms of click-through rates, in terms of percentages of impressions at the top of search. Obviously, your CPC side of things, that you're not overspending on a cost per click basis. AC repair near me is really expensive in most markets, and in most cases is not worth bidding on. And that surprises a lot of people when we talk about that and why we don't have that as a keyword that we're going after for them, because it's expensive. Whereas, why is my air conditioner blowing hot air, and writing a little bit more detailed of a post about that, and then converting that into a book call can often comes in a little bit cheaper, right? So being able to be efficient on a marketing standpoint makes a lot of sense. Also making sure you're not wasting money on competitor ads if you don't know how to book those calls. That's something that we see often. I mean, more when we had Johnny Wenzel on the call from Service Titan, or on the podcast, he talked about how, give me a marketing account, give me a PPC Google Ads account, and I guarantee you I'll find at least $1,000 in wasted ad spend on a monthly basis. It's scary to think about, and we've taken a look at several prospective client accounts, and that's exactly what they have, right? There's wasted ad spend and there's leakage that happens in there. So understanding how it is that you can convert a lead from a click to a call is really important. And so aiming for a 30% conversion rate. So when you see your Google Ads reports back from your marketing company, 30% conversion rate is a good benchmark during demand season, 20% during not. We want to see a click-through rate generally north of 4% as a solid benchmark to aim for, because that means you've got a good ad copy. And in order for that ad to convert, you need to be able to convey the right message. So if someone's searching for AC repair, but then they get served a page that talks about HVAC repair, they're generally not going to convert because it's not the same messaging there. So you want to make sure that everything's consistent and congruent all the way through. And those are little things that you can have conversations with your marketing company about to try and make sure you've got the right ad served to the right search intent, sending them to the right landing page. That's going to help them to convert. So generally, click-through rate, you want to see north of 4, conversion rate north of 20 during this time of year, depending on the market that you're in, north of 30 in demand season.
Right. And those numbers could be a little bit, I mean, if you have a 12% click-through rate and a 20 or 15% conversion rate, the numbers still might come out in the wash, right? And so making sure you look at those sorts of things too, and there's some nuances within that itself. So that's
that's again where it comes back to CPA. What is your cost per acquisition? What is your cost to get a call booked on your calendar? If you know that number and you know your average ticket and you're profitable on that, then you're golden.
Correct. So that's a lot on the ad side. Everybody talks about, okay, well, I need to do SEO. I need to make sure that I'm planning that for my 2024, or they're already doing it and they want to look at the KPIs and numbers and the metrics. And maybe this might be for our webinar. I think our proposed date that we had for that sent out was like December 12th. So December 12th, I believe, at 1 p.m. Mountain was the time on that. So bookmark that in. We'll get some stuff out to y'all later. But in terms of the SEO side of things, to know that your marketing company is on track because you've done all this work and the worksheet and everything that we've done, how can you look at that to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to be able to make sure that you can hit your goals in 2024?
One, I mean, the number that I would look at the most from like an SEO side of things is conversion rate on the website. Are you converting around 6% of total traffic coming to your website into a conversion?
That's a really great conversion rate, by the way. Like 2 to 5 is average.
Is average. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why, just to frame this correctly for everyone, is most of the traffic that comes to your website is through blogs. And blogs can be seen across the nation. Generally, you're also going to get traffic who, even when they're searching for your service, that conversion might jump up to 10 to 15% if they're searching for AC repair. But if someone's searching for your brand name, my air conditioning company, that conversion rate is going to be jumping up now to 20 to 40%. So the more traffic that you can drive from your brand, the higher your conversion rate on your website. So understanding how those different elements work, that's where that blended conversion rate, aiming for that 6% to be really, really great. That means you've got a really high converting website. in terms of SEO metrics to look at, I mean, rankings is always something that SEO people talk about and go for. But at the end of the day, it's similar to the revenue and profits idea, right? Rankings are vanity. If you're not driving call volume, then the rankings don't matter. If you're ranking for a lot of blog posts, but you're not ranking for your services in your area, then that's going to really hurt you. If you're not ranking on the map pack, then that's really going to hurt you. And I can't wait to do our GMB webinar in the new year, because we definitely have some ideas and thoughts around that are going to help a lot of people.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, we got to get that Google Business Profile webinar out there. And look, you nailed it right on the head. I mean, ranking for the sake of ranking, or rankings for the sake of ranking's sake, just doesn't really, okay, you've got 1,000 rankings. Well, where's the traffic coming from? Okay, well, all over the US. Well, my business is one city. Why do I need traffic from the other side of the country, right? It doesn't necessarily move the needle in terms of a conversion rate for your business, and can end up hurting it, right? And so looking
Well,
at some of those
but where it does help is on the authority side of things.
yes.
And this is something else that I would love to get into in terms of topics on another date, is how do you build your local authority? Because Google's algorithm now is the EAT algorithm, right? It's experience, expertise, authority, and trust, right? So being able to convey that messaging out there, that you are the authority figure, that you are trustworthy, that you have the experience and the expertise to deliver on this specific topic. So the better your blog posts are and the more traffic that you're driving to your site across the country, the more it's going to help your local rankings.
100% agree to that. All right, the last topic that we want to get into is talking about some trends to pay attention to. But before we do that, hey, look, guys, if you guys have thought that this is great value, right, and I'll drop it again at the end, but I do want to make sure that if you're like, okay, well, hey, these guys drop some pretty good knowledge, I think that maybe we should have a call with them to handle our marketing and our business. So onpurposemedia.ca is our website. But if you want to just go straight to booking a call with us, onpurposemedia.ca/book-a-call is the URL that I get right up onto our calendar. Alternatively, if you want to have a marketing analysis done on your current stuff too, because we've been talking a lot about the marketing stuff, onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis is the other way to be able to do that. We'll look through what you have on the go currently, provide you some actionable intel on how to either do it better yourself or take it to your current marketing company, right? Our approach is honest, transparent, and value first, right? If we can help you help your business, then that's a win for us, and it feels really good, in my opinion. So don't get me wrong, I'd like to have more clients for our business, but at the end of the day, if businesses are growing and they're happy and they're doing what they need to do, that's validation for what we're doing. All right, trends. What do you see coming up, for 2024 in some of the trends? And obviously AI is the easy one here, because, well, it's everybody's talking about it. Everybody's trying to jump on the bandwagon. Everybody's trying to do those sorts of things, but there might be some other trends. So walk us through what you're seeing on the marketing side, Evan, on some of the trends that are coming for 2024.
Right. Well, and I mean, in the spring of this year, you couldn't hop on a social media channel without somebody talking about GPT and how great it is and what they're using it for in their business. And I think that's going to continue to evolve. Um, it, I honestly think that businesses need to start looking at, how do we have a chief AI officer in our business, and how can we leverage this platform to get more efficient in our business. You can use it for training. You can use it for teaching. You can use it to help create content. Even I was talking with a friend yesterday. She had to put together like a proposal letter for something. And I was like, well, go to GPT. And then she edited it from there, and it took her 15 minutes instead of an hour. Right. So it's little ways that you can look to improve efficiencies in your business. AI is absolutely incredible. And that's why so many companies are looking at, how do we leverage this? And even every software that we use from a marketing perspective, all of them are trying to tie in AI, and they're all pretending to be cutting edge on it, but it's fucking bullshit. Um, anyone that protests to be an expert on AI or generative search, and Sarah had said this actually on her webinar that she ran a little while ago, they're full of shit, because there isn't an expert on it right now. People have their opinions, people have their ideas around it, but hey, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and sometimes they're full of shit. So at the end of the at
I
the
love
end of
that
the
quote.
day, it's fantastic. Um, how can you continue to leverage this tool to grow your business and not forget that at the end of the day too, we are in a people business. And it's really easy to lean on tools like this and forget about the people. So, what this tool allows us to do is to buy back some of our time so that we can focus even more energy on our people and connecting with them and connecting with our customers because they are the real people on the other side of it as well. Um, Generative search, it's going to be disruptive. It's going to be something that completely turns the Google experience upside down, and marketing companies that fail to innovate and fail to dive into what this is going to mean, I think are really going to struggle. Um, there was a friend of ours during the intensive that we were on this week where they talked about how marketing companies and marketing agencies, advertising agencies were problem solvers in the past before the internet came around. They were faced with big problems, and how do we overcome these, and how do we grab attention from people in ways that are going to be creative and disruptive. And when the internet came around with Google and Facebook, it made a lot of marketing companies lazy because cost per acquisition cost came way down, and it was real easy to throw up ads and get people's attention really quick. The first ever banner ad was created by AT&T, and it just said, "Hey, have you ever clicked this button?" And it was a black banner with like some speckles on it and just like text with what's it called when the text is behind it too? The shadowing. There we go.
Oh,
Um like colored shadowing in behind it. It was the worst fucking ad I've ever seen, but it had a 40% click-through rate on a display ad. Today, you'd be lucky to get a 1% click-through rate on a display ad. It had a 40% click-through rate, and it was for AT&T, and it just said, "Have you ever tried to click this button?" It was really funny. But, that's how far internet marketing has come and it has evolved, but how the consumer's experience has changed. So when we look at generative search and what it's going to do, what are you going to do as a business when Google goes from having 10 search options to provide you down to one? They've already cut LSA down from 3 options to 2, right? So what options do you have as a business to continue to grow? How are you going to capture market share? And it's really presenting an opportunity for marketing companies like ourselves to step up to the plate and say, "Hey, we're problem solvers. We're going to figure this out for clients, and we're going to do it in creative ways." I think that video is still going to be incredibly impactful moving forward. Not enough home service companies utilize this, and so it's a great way for you to stand out on social platforms and on Google search, because when people search for problems on Google, YouTube shows up right at the top. Um, Utilizing a platform like TikTok to grab market share, to get in front of people, to grab their attention, it's going to continue to be more and more important throughout this year because the social channels allow you to get in front of people in a way that um, Google doesn't. Google is a demand based tool. My air conditioner is broken. It's 116 degrees out. I need someone here now. My furnace is broken. It's -40. I need somebody here now. My pipes have burst. There's water in my basement. I need somebody here now. Those are demand based searches that people are going to Google for. Nobody goes to Facebook to find that solution when there's water pouring into their basement. People go to Facebook when they're thinking about it. People go to Facebook when they're not thinking about it, which, by the way, is 97% of the population. So when you get in front of people when they're not thinking about it and provide them with solutions and educate and inform, that is going to allow you to get them to look you out and seek you out as the expert in your marketplace.
Right. And so those numbers, by the way, what he's talking about is 3% of people at any given time, on average, generally are have a problem and they're actively searching for a solution to their problem and they're ready to go right now. Right. Like right now, like he said, it's cold, their furnace is out, it's hot, their AC's done, there's water coming into their basement, or they know that they need to replace them, they're going right now. 17% of people are problem aware and they're researching a solution. Okay? They know that they need to have something fixed and they're in the research information gathering stage. 20% of people know they have a problem, but they're not looking for a solution at the current moment in time. The other 60% of people don't know they have a problem, they don't know they have a solution. And that's where a lot of times and then we talked earlier, coming full circle to Facebook ads. Well, majority of times you're playing to that 80% of the people that don't know they have a problem or a solution exists, right? And then you're trying to get that. And that's why sometimes those leads can suck, right? So
Mhm.
just keeping a note on that. One question that I had as you were talking on that, and you mentioned a lot of times connecting with people more, connecting with people more, connecting with people more, right? How in what should a trend be that somebody and let me give you, where I'm coming from on this consumer experience, right? We've had a lot of people on the podcast. We've had a lot of conversations with people that consumer experience is the new battleground, right? That's how you're going to be able to separate yourself from that. On a marketing side of things, though, Evan, how can somebody build that consumer experience, that connecting with people when they're running their marketing plan?
Mm. Um, Great question, Thaddeus.
Thank you. Yes, I was waiting for that. I've asked a few great questions, but I was just waiting for you to say it to me.
Um, well, and this is one of the beautiful things about social media is that you don't have to pick what side you're marketing to. What I mean by that is when you're recruiting for your business and you're actively recruiting, not hiring, recruiting, because there is a difference there. If you want to learn more about that, go listen to some of those podcasts. Um, you need to market your business for recruiting. What's our culture like? What are our people like? What's our expertise? How do we train? All of that goes into that. Well, when you're putting that content out there on social, it's not that you can block customers from potentially seeing that, but now they get a feel as to who you are as an organization. How do you treat your people? Do you take care of your people? I want them in my house because they take care of their people. If they take care of them that way, imagine how they're going to take care of me. So that starts to paint a picture as to who you are and what you stand for. Then when you put out the other content that's informing, that's educating, that's allowing customers to make the best decision for themselves, that is also going to help them make them feel more comfortable. So that's on the marketing side of things. Now the next step is, do you follow through? When they pick up the phone and call you, what's that experience like? When they get the text message that your technician is coming out because it comes directly from your field service management software, and they get an Uber like experience to be able to follow their technician on the app to see them coming to your house. That's showing that you are a top quality organization. When the technician shows up and they put down the mat at the front door and they put their booties on before they come in the house, that shows that you care about the customer. All of these things start to increase your value in the customer's view and experience. So, taking a hard look at your organization and secret shop your company. What's that experience like? And maybe it's not you, maybe it's a family member, but from beginning to end, what is that experience like? Auditing that on a consistent basis, especially when call volume's a little bit lower. What is the customer experience like? And then also reverse engineering other companies that you hire into your home, whether it's another home service business, whether it's the cable company. If you're building a house, Cassie Pound just built a new house. I saw that on Facebook, right? Walking through the experience of what that's like and who took care of you and who didn't. How did you feel throughout the process? Even when you order something online, what is that customer experience like? Finding those little elements that made you feel really good, and then how can we implement that into our process?
Hmm. That's a great way to expand upon that consumer experience and customer experience, because look, it's important, guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, Evan, Did you have
Last
any
thing we
other
did want to
final
talk about.
thoughts?
Yeah, last thing I did want to talk about, and I mentioned this earlier when we were going through the budgeting planner. It is an election year. You can expect all marketing costs to go up this year significantly. It happens every year. There is always just a natural increase, like PPC costs go up every year. Your click through rate costs go up on Facebook and all of those things. All of those costs naturally go up. But when you're talking about advertising on social media, on TV, on radio, you only have that one platform. And every single company that's trying to market through there, regardless of what industry they're in, is paying for that attention. And so those costs get driven up dramatically because of elections. So understanding that that is going to be something that's happening this year, and then how do you navigate those fluctuations in your business so that you're not overpaying on certain spends this year. So just making sure that you're paying attention to that.
No, great point to mention. I know Facebook, you genuinely see that. And hey, look, even right now, right? I mean, it's November 17th. You know what's coming next week? Black Friday, right? Cyber Monday. You're going to start to see a whole ton of ads. People that have never ran ads all year long are going to now all of a sudden start running ads. And so you're going to see that increase, especially all the way out through the rest of the year until January when they drop back down again.
Exactly. So yeah, if you are doing any kind of social media marketing ads, make sure you're paying attention to what other industries could potentially drive up those impression costs on social.
Perfect. Well, Evan, this was a lot of great information for a lot of individuals. It was a very deep dive into making sure that 2024 is your best year yet. And I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover on here. And guys, if you need to go back to grab this again, I'll drop those links. The planner is bit.ly/OPM plan 2024. Take a look at that, go through the deep dive, build out what your marketing plan is like. By the way, I will say this, that if you get through that and you're like, I don't know if it's good or not, guess what? Just hit us up, right? Let's have a conversation about it. Even if you don't even want, you're not looking at potentially switching your marketing company, you're not ready to bring on Purpose Media on board, we'll still have a conversation with you guys, right? That's part of our approach, honest, transparent, value first, is we're going to help you out regardless if you're a client of ours or not, right? Now, if you do want to have conversations about your marketing, well, hit us up on purposemedia.ca/book-a-call. Get on our calendars, grab a time, let's chat about your marketing plan and what you got going on. But if you're not quite there yet, you just want to, hey, I'm just rather have a marketing analysis, well, on purposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis, we'll get you the information on that.
Perfect. Well,
Cool.
Ideation without implementation is the ultimate failure. We talked about a lot of things here today. If you were to break it down into 3 action items that a business owner should take right now, what would be number 1?
I think number 1 is define your why. Why are you running your business? If you don't know your why, and hey, look, you know what? Sometimes whys change, right? They definitely do. They can adapt, they can evolve. And so having that exercise once a year to go back to identify that, I think that's step number 1, is getting into that. Step number 2 would be going through the worksheet that we had of the Excel sheet, that I think it's a Google sheet, same, in really planning out, okay, well, what do you want to do in 2024 from a revenue standpoint, and really figuring out your marketing budget, because your marketing budget is going to be a big thing, right? Don't go to a marketing company and say, well, I don't know what I need to spend. What do you think? Go to them with the ammo of what you want to spend on your marketing budget. And the good marketing companies aren't just going to increase their costs magically because you have an insanely high marketing budget. Not how it works. At least that's not how it shouldn't work for it. Then number 3 is get a marketing partner on board for your business. If you're serious about it, getting the right marketing company on board, our next webinar, December 12th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. That's noon Pacific, 2 Eastern, 2 Central, 3 Eastern. Tune into that because we'll do a deep dive into, okay, well, now that you have all the, and that should be enough time, by the way, to go through step number 1, step number 2, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I want to switch my marketing company or hold my current marketing company more accountable. That's where we're going to be able to do that. That would be my 3 things that you need to do today to be able to take advantage of all we just covered in the last hour and 20 minutes.
Love it. Yeah. Make sure you're taking action. Make sure you're implementing. And if you don't know where you were at and where you were going to, you may end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Well, think about an airplane. An airplane, if they are 1 degree off course while they're flying to their destination, they become radically off course. Now all of a sudden there's no airport to land on, and they're fucked, right?
Well,
Don't be
that's
an airplane being 1 degree off course. You need to make small adjustments as you're flying, as you're moving your business forward. There's always these constant tweaks and adjustments that you need to make.
right, which goes back to the webinar we ran last month when we talked about the things to start doing and stop doing and keep doing, is making sure that you're making those adjustments, because an airplane is off course 97% of the time when it is in the air. It's making those course corrections along the way to make sure you end up at the destination that you're aiming for. That's the important part. So there you go.
Perfect. Well, that's a wrap. And
And until
until
next
but cheers.
time.